Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in for October. As we know, it's also International Mental Health Month, also International Cybersecurity Month. So today we're going to talk about simple wins, smart strategies for cybersecurity, and also how to enhance the cooperation between data protection and information security. And as I've always liked to say, cybersecurity and data protection are like both two sides of one coin, basically. One doesn't exist with the other, so it is a partnership. So in order to break down the silos and introduce like the practical side of it, I've asked Margus Anvelt to join. So hi, Margus.
Hello. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so Margus is the head of security and compliance at Pactum. He's also had like 11 years of professional experience also from SK, ID Solutions, Starship, Olympic Entertainment Group, so quite a vast different sectors. So when I first approached Margus about the topic to invite him to talk about cybersecurity, his one condition was we have to think about the practical sides, like and how to break down the silos. And so today we're going to talk about only practical aspects and quick wins, smart strategies for CISOs and DPOs for this week and this year, but also more strategic moves, how to communicate. So today's webinar will follow the same structure. We will talk about tactical wins and strategic moves. And in the end, we have a Q&A section. So along the way, if you have questions, dear listeners, feel free to put them in the chat. But along the way, Margus, ready to kick off?
Sure.
Okay. So as I mentioned before, underneath our webinar event information, we had quite an interesting question addressed from one participant that how can we talk about quick wins in cybersecurity when budgets are draining out in information security? And I wanted to start the conversation by asking you the same question. What would you answer that?
Well, jokingly, the budget is only growing or going smaller until you get your first breach, but we should not wait for that. There is a lot of things you can do with a very limited budget. Of course, you cannot buy the most fanciest enterprise-grade technology and software, but there's a lot you can do with your own people in your company, and by just changing or implementing a couple of processes.
Absolutely. So along the way, we will have different polls to understand our listeners as well. So they will pop up along the way as we're talking. So when we talk about the most common fixable vulnerabilities this year, what are they? Like, why do they still are persisting?
Sure. So I guess if you put 10 security leaders in a room, then you will get 10 different answers, maybe even 11. But I put together a list of 3, and I don't want to talk about like technical vulnerabilities or what's outside. But for me, the number 1 currently would be public cloud misconfigurations. Simple stuff like your S3 buckets are made public. That's one of the main things currently, but there are automated tools that can help you with finding these kinds of misconfigurations and fix those potentially. Number 2, I would say, is ghost assets or kind of shadow IT. Somebody from a company has a company credit card and they just swipe it and buy some new cool SaaS to help them do their job easier. But it's really hard to protect data if you don't know where the data is. And then as my third point, I would add that weak authentication, lack of multi-factor authentication. It's not always implemented, or the weakest options are used. So yeah, I would say those are my main three things I would point out today.
And this is quite like basic things, but as you see from your different perspective, how many like companies in the world would you think are still struggling with these foundational elements? What
I think everyone is struggling with them to some extent, some more, some less. And like, I mean, as you saw, these are not like technically complex things to fix, right? But it comes down to, I would say, like these people or priorities, or this kind of fast pace in the company. There's the human element kind of is always unpredictable. You can teach, you can tell people anything, but still, if people go the kind of the path of least resistance. So if it's easy for them to procure something or do something on their own, they will do it. But yeah, you just need to kind of find this time. But it's hard, especially when it's a kind of fast-growing company. Then your main goal is to make sure your company doesn't go out of business because of competitors. So a lot of the times, this kind of rather simple compliance or security things are kind of not prioritized.
Are these also the three low-hanging fruits that you would recommend to fix as well?
Yeah. I mean, there's a number of things you can do, but yeah, definitely these especially shadow IT it can be complex, but at the end of the day, if it's bought with company credit cards, then at least your accounting team should have an overview of what has been bought. But if it's a free service, there are ways, but it's a little bit more complex, but it's definitely doable. Yeah.
But when we talk about like different services, there are also this access topic that can totally be fluctuate with how strong the management is. Like how can like good identity and access management help companies succeed in the long run as well? Like, is this even a thing to keep an eye out who logs where?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and before we get to this access management, I would say that some of the things, the easier things you can do to mitigate the prior vulnerabilities I mentioned is, just start small. You don't have to boil the ocean right away. Put together kind of or pull together this access lists of users from your maybe 3 to 5 most critical systems. And just go through kind of name by name and see if they actually need this access. And if they haven't used it for 30 or 90 days, you can remove their access. But in terms of making the EAM or this identity access management stronger, I mean, from my experience, what helps is to implement some sort of like simple role-based access matrix, control matrix. Start broader and then kind of go deeper. It can, you can start by kind of differentiating between departments. You have your sales department, developers, HR, finance, and you grant permissions based on the role of the person. And yeah, if I'm going a little bit too technical, then you shouldn't grant permissions to an identity directly, but you should always use access groups to kind of make it easier to manage all of this. So if a person leaves sales team, I don't know, joins the HR team for whatever reason, then it's just a simple matter of changing the access groups, and all the permissions underneath will be changed for them. And also automation, right? It is in an ideal world, you should be able to, at least to some extent, automate the onboarding and offboarding by leveraging maybe your HR platform. If somebody's added to your company, a new joiner, then automatically at least the kind of user accounts would be created. And if they leave, then you could automatically also remove their accesses. And another layer there, when we talk about authentication or kind of access management, then you should use single sign-on of any sort to the maximum extent. The less credentials, the less passwords and usernames people have to kind of work with on a daily basis, the better. And it's also easier for access management if you close their access kind of on the root level, then they won't have access to all the kind of services that leverage the same access system.
Absolutely, and getting the foundation right is so important along the way, because when companies are planning to scale their business, it's like the simple some parts may just lag behind, and it takes time to level up these as well. But what basic cyber hygiene steps could fast scaling companies, organizations with a lot of subsidiaries do to not overlook these important steps? Any important things from the cyber hygiene side?
Yeah, I mean, I guess first thing that comes to mind with cyber hygiene is the people, right? So training your people, that's a must, and this can be done without pretty much any budget. If you have somebody who knows a little bit about information security and data protection, then they can even just have like an hourly meeting. At least for example, in our company, for each and every newcomer, we have an hourly meeting with either me or somebody from the security team. We go over the basics, and of course, also they have at least annually. On top of that, the cyber hygiene training. But in terms of other things that should be implemented, I think asset management. You should understand what kind of devices, cloud servers, services your company uses. It goes into the similar topic with shadow IT. You really need to know where your employees are processing the data to be able to kind of understand and protect this data. And I would also say that, especially with kind of fast-growing companies, that I mean, you have your kind of goal business in some specific sector, so you're not going to build each and every supporting service yourself. So you're going to buy software as a service or anything like that. So having a vendor risk management system in place, it doesn't have to be anything super complex. You can even start with just, let's say, like 5 basic questions just to understand where do they host the data, if and what kind of certification they might have. Do they support single sign-on, for example? Just start small and start registering. Just create a registry of all of the different services that your company uses. This will help. And logging and monitoring, of course. I would say you don't need kind of a security operations center or even like a proper CM solution, but just store the logs. That's the first and I would say most crucial step. Make sure that your critical systems that process data have logs. I would say 365 days minimum to store system logs. Even if you don't have any like fancy log analytic systems, at least you have the logs. If something, if there's an incident ever, then if you don't have logs, you're blind.
Yeah, because if you don't know what happened, like how do you prevent it from happening ever again? So I really deep dived into the topic straight away. We also have some polls popping up, as I mentioned, and poor visibility into third-party or SaaS tools. It's like still causes, And I also forgot to introduce myself. I'm Krete Paal. I'm the CEO of GDPR Register, and Margus also is a certified privacy professional from a CIPPB European certification. So you have a good knowledge on the privacy side as well, and breaking down the silos. So as we mentioned, there is a lot of going on in the information security team side. How has your previous experience been with privacy professionals, DPOs, privacy councils? What is the biggest blocker in cooperation between 2 teams?
That's a great question, and maybe I'm not the best to answer because I've always had great experiences with the legal counterparties. But yeah, I mean, just speak the same or at least similar language, right? I mean, you have to come to kind of you have to be able to communicate. So legal should not maybe use their legal jargon as much, and us more technical security people should also maybe use more simple day-to-day kind of language to make sure that everyone understands each other.
Yeah, but the simplest things are sometimes the hardest to do. And as I've always said, like the person represents the field best. Like if they see that you are interested in it, you want people to have like a simple understanding of what are the like basic things to do. I think this is already a big win if people know who to turn to and ask questions. Like these questions are like sometimes like discover something even bigger. So and I think it creates trust as well. Like from my own experience, when I was working in another company where it was Friday evening, 8 p.m. I was in the office and someone was knocking on the door and saying, "I think there is a data breach." Like and that is like quite a big like overachievement for this person to actually even say or alarm the bell. So because it was so late, it was like beginning of a weekend, people didn't want to alert anyone. Maybe it's nothing, but it's better to like address it so we can resolve it fast away, and there are no silly questions, it's only simple answers. So, and I think one thing is also breaking the myth that like we're following some procedures for its sake, but it's the work is with people, it's the communication part and the constant communication, because it is like forever circle as well. It's not just one and done. It's like things are changing so fast, and how to actually deliver information in a package, in a snippet. So some people are also big believers of micro learning. So it's like every week it's like tiny snippet of information is shared in a company channel. What do you think that kind of like learning methods? Have you ever like deep dive into it? Like how do people actually absorb information?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this micro learning is the way to go. I haven't maybe consciously kind of moved towards it, but of course, on top of our like annual big trainings, of course, we try to give refreshers to employees. If there's anything noteworthy that we've seen in the landscape, we always kind of post it into some public, either our Slack or some group email to just kind of create awareness of these issues. And I believe we have conducted some, for example, this phishing simulation attacks. Like I know a lot of companies look at the metric like how many people clicked on the link. That's a good metric, right? But to me, it's more important to see how many people react to it in a way where they notify others. So it's kind of like this team spirit, or like if I see something that looks off, do I notify others? And I think this is a great metric if you see that you have a good number of employees who right away, post this email into some public channel and say, hey, this doesn't look right. Did anyone else get it? Yeah.
And it's also like a company culture aspect, like do we share these things? Because there may be some companies who want to say it's all good for us, nothing is wrong, nothing has ever happened, we haven't been phished or something like that, and like management only keeps that information and also like pen testing results or something like that. Leadership priorities not aligned, biggest disconnect. Yeah. So yeah, because like a company culture also is set by the management. So, and I think but when the management says like everything is like so good, nothing's wrong, nothing needs to be improved, it also creates some sense of like false safety, that it little bit like lowers your attention level and like that. Have you also seen that kind of like tendency that if it's not spoken, it's like there's no problem?
Well, I mean, you have to speak about it, right? So what we try to do is we try to speak to the management and then make them understand, but it's not always easy, right? like the language what we speak. I mean, like CISOs or security team leads, we talk about like, you know, the critical vulnerabilities, the risks, and DPOs perhaps talk about, you know, the high risk processing activities, stuff like that. But in the end of the day, what business cares about is the business impact. So you have to, like, if you want to convey some message to make sure that management understands it, you have to put it into something that they understand. It can be dollar amounts, right? If we don't do X, Y, Z right now, then this could cost us X amount of dollars next year or in the span of next 3 years. So kind of using maybe a more quantitative risk assessment logic, not just, you know, producing a matrix or a list of risks, and there's like high likelihood, low likelihood. I mean, what does it even mean, right? But a lot of us do it, right? But I guess the end goal should be to have dollar amounts attached to each and every risk, because this is what the management understands. Yeah.
Is it also some way like aligns with like when talking about like GDPR fine statistics, like the biggest two reasons why breaches and fines happen is the lack of security measures, lack of legal basis. So that should already indicate like this is like a global problem. And the second one I wanted to ask is should, or is it like a common practice that information security, the person who is responsible for that field, also submits like a monthly or quarterly overview of like different information security metrics, like how many like phishing attempts, how many vulnerabilities detected, how many vulnerabilities closed? Is this like common practice to show by statistics, like this is like how the world is working now?
In an ideal world, yes, you would do this regularly. I guess it depends on the company and how big it is. At least for us currently, it's we still have the luxury of, you know, having face to face with some of the, you know, executive leadership people. So we don't really need to like have this kind of newsletter type of or a dashboard. But it's definitely a good thing to have in place. But you kind of, when creating any dashboards or any metrics, you always have to think about what is the worth of this metric, right? It has to have some sort of reason, and it should also tell you, or at least give you a hint on what you should start doing or you know, stop doing.
Yeah. Have you also like in your practice line like some like steps with the privacy teams, like how to address very specific problems that you have? Because privacy may see it as a problem as well, like how to tackle joint problems together, like how to do it even.
Yeah, so we at Pactum, we have tried to, or we have been very close with our legal and privacy teams, and like not too long ago, the privacy was kind of inside my role, but now at least we have a separate person for it. But I think all the kind of internal processes and policies that relate to personal data or the protection of it, we take these on like as joint efforts. So we always do this together, because, you know, having kind of people with this legal knowledge and background and us from the security team, we kind of we are able together to cover most of the kind of blind spots, which, you know, either party would not maybe think about. So yeah, kind of involving each other early and often is definitely something that I would recommend any company to do. Maybe even have like bi-weekly or weekly one-on-ones on between your, let's say, security team lead and your legal and privacy team leads.
From the DPO's perspective, we see that the technology is changing and evolving so fastly that just reading the law and GDPR doesn't cut it anymore. What should the level of expertise for a DPO be in information security side? Like should it be just basic understandings, like what the team is doing, what you are tracking, or should it be even more like technical side?
That's a great question. I guess it depends. The more knowledge they have, the better, right? as they can be more kind of autonomous, wouldn't need as much maybe security help when reviewing documentation between customers or vendors. But yeah, I guess like basic understanding of the principles, understanding the technical controls that have been put in place, having kind of basic understanding of it, I think is sufficient. But anything kind of more would be a nice kind of add-on extra.
Yeah, because when we jump into GDPR, there is like a specific and more general speaking, like security measures should be in place depending on the risk level. So it actually doesn't show but I think what we said really, really well is it depends on the context, like what the company is doing, what is the target audience, what are the data subjects, what are you actually doing, what's your business model, where the data is going. So, and I think if you are interested in doing your job well, I think that you have the curiosity, and with AI on top of that, that is just how the world is working now, and I think we have to evolve based on where the world is working, because how can we do our job the best if we're like missing important parts? So if you had only 5,000 euros and 30 days to improve your security stance, posture, where would you put the resources?
Yeah, I guess it's very important to understand how big the company is. But yeah, let's just say small to medium business, right? Maybe 100 something employees. So I would maybe split it 50-50. Half of it I would procure some sort of good cyber hygiene / maybe even phishing simulation platform to get kind of the human side of things kind of to some level, right? And maybe the other half I would spend on some endpoint detection response tool. If I don't have the money to cover all of the endpoints, maybe figure out what are the most critical users in their computers. Maybe the CEO, finance department, and have some sort of proper security solution set up on their workstations. Yeah, 5,000 doesn't get you much, but I think training your people and at least covering the most critical users is something I would do.
Yeah. There is also a lot of like different AI tools popping up like mushrooms in every field. Like, do you see the trend in cybersecurity as well? What the market is offering currently for companies?
Yeah, definitely. AI has changed the kind of field a lot on both sides, from like for us, the protectors, and also the attackers. AI is leveraged more and more on the attacker side. Unfortunately, we, the defenders, also have to adhere to different laws and regulations. So we cannot always adopt things as quick as we would want to, because, we might be starting processing personal data using AI, which is kind of something that is complex, to say the least. But yeah, there's a lot of tools, a lot of I've seen firsthand how AI can assist you with log analysis or setting up some alerting systems. So yeah, it's definitely something that is evolving very rapidly. So there are some kind of pros and cons to it. As I said, we adopt it slower and the attackers adopt it much faster. And it kind of changes or adds a lot of new risks. All the old kind of software development risks are still there, but now there's a few more that you need to kind of take into consideration.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, the risk aspect, it is like more and more crucial to understand what the risk is and how to calculate what's the cost of the risk. What are we going to do with the risk? Are we going to mitigate it some way? Is this also something that DPOs and information security personnel can like map out together different risks that are like overlapping? But and what to do actually, because risks it's like privacy, cybersecurity, we're both business risks. Like, how do you address these risks?
So I think we at Pactum have, as I already said, we have a pretty close collaboration between legal and security. So, and we have a pretty nice vendor management process in place, for example. So each and every new vendor that is onboarded, before it can be onboarded, we use the same tools. There's the same ticketing system. Both security and legal create their own risk assessments, and of course we collaborate on it. And I like to think that we kind of, even though I'm looking at maybe more of the kind of technical security things or side of things, I still kind of, to do my job well, I also look at the kind of maybe data privacy risks or maybe the legal risks. So there's quite a bit of overlap. But yeah, in the end of the day, we try to use similar or even the same risk kind of creating logic internally. Yeah.
Yeah. But if someone would ask, like, how do you actually, risks are important, I think that maybe even management may understand, but risks have different owners. And what advice would you give to someone who says, like, the risk owner doesn't want to make decisions and just lets it be like this? How to communicate to the risk owner that it is your job to make a decision whether we're going to do it?
It is a hard topic, sometimes, not always. But I think it boils down to the same topic that we talked about earlier. You have to make them understand what the risk is and what are the implications. You have to, have some understandable metric attached to it, so they understand what this can kind of mean if this risk would ever manifest. But yeah, it really depends on the person and the corporate culture. In some cases, maybe the easiest way is just to go over their head and go directly to the leadership and get it pushed through. Other times, you might just need to sit down with the person and just talk with them to get the idea across to them.
But also when we talk about like a longer perspective, do you also have like a practice and culture of like you have like a cybersecurity strategy for like 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, half a year? Is this also like that you have to like push out and say like this is like our common understanding, and based on that vision we have like certain steps that we're gonna do it? Is that what should be proposed to the management as well? That they sign out that we are going to do this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, depending on the company, maybe 2, 3, 5 years is too long. 1 year, I think, is good enough, especially with the kind of evolving landscape, with AI and everything. Having your kind of annual goals set and described in a way that management will understand them and kind of present those to the management, that's definitely something you should do. But it doesn't mean like you might have a strategy in place, but it doesn't mean that it is set in stone, right? So as I said, things can change very rapidly. You might need to change something, change your priorities. Yeah.
And as privacy and information security risks are like so tied up together, would it be also reasonable to have like a joint strategic like overview, like where we both like present it and because sometimes I understand like information security sits under like engineering or some business side, and privacy is under legal, so they have different planning cycles, different strategic outlets and alignment cycles. So but I think maybe it's like it should be like more like a horizontal level document as well.
Definitely. Yeah, even though your legal, privacy, security teams can be in totally different organizations, it's something that I guess then the legal and security team need to do. As I said, have these meetings. I don't know, depends on the company. You might have these quarterly plannings, right? Even though you're different departments, they're usually on the same schedule or similar schedule. If not, then you just need to plan better, right? And make sure that if the planning schedules are different, then you at least have some regular check-ins to discuss the kind of priorities and plans for both teams. Yeah, for us, it has been working nicely. We have the same kind of prioritization or this goal setting cycle, and a lot of the times we end up with same or similar goals where we support each other. So yeah, it's just collaboration. Even though you might be under a different kind of department or leadership, if you really care about things, then you should really make the effort and try to kind of communicate with your counterparties in the legal or security department.
What other blockers regarding the cooperation have you seen, experienced, heard about? Like what blocks the communication or the cooperation between security and privacy teams?
Again, I have been too lucky. I have had great partners in legal and privacy teams, but there are other blockers, more high-level blockers, management-level blockers. I think it's usually privacy and legal and security understand each other if they make themselves clear to each other. But with leadership, it can be a little bit more complex. Just making sure, because especially with international companies, the background of your C-level can be very different. If you have a European CEO versus a US CEO, their understanding of what is personal data can be totally different. So their understanding of the risks related to personal data are totally different. So in some cases, you might need to just put in some extra effort to make the leadership understand what are the implications and the risks.
And one advice I can give also is do a roadshow. Like there is like a new CISO joining or a new DPO. It's like really good to like reappear into the public. Set some like 15-minute syncs or do you do a stand-up in that team's meeting? You just introduce who you are, what you do, what people can turn to you. So you just introduce like who you are behind there as well, and companies all hands meeting, like some snippets, some information. Also show the fun side. I've always loved memes to illustrate. People love to laugh. It takes like attention away. So, and there is a lot of like memes out there regarding privacy and security. And if there are like bigger topics, but because people read media, they know what's happening in the world. And maybe if you want to deliver like a clear message or a stance, these are like good to just be on the stage and put the message out. And repetition, like repeat the same thing, like at least 7 times you have to say the same thing, and then it like gets to everyone's head, and it's like you're like a broken radio saying the same things all over again. But it works. So yeah. But when we look ahead to the future, what should companies be aware of, like something new emerging, something that has been overlooked and it's gonna bite them in the back in the future? That's something you would like to highlight.
Great question. AI, although it's here, it's not fully here. I guess there might be more regulations popping up related to it. So there's a lot of, I would say, unknown unknowns regarding AI technology. So I guess that's the main point. But when we talk about like future proofing in general, our companies are kind of access. We talked about access earlier. So maybe like a public sector is not in the same boat with me, but as I am in a somewhat, we can call it still a startup, we use a lot of cloud. All of our internal services are in the cloud, although we call them internal. Then adopting this zero trust kind of architecture or access model is something I would say is the future, especially what we saw during the COVID pandemic. People went home, they needed to access the resources from home. Yeah, maybe this kind of castle and moat type of VPN era is kind of over or going to be over soon. So yeah, implementing zero trust kind of architecture, not relying only on VPN, but relying on the identity of the user, the device, the health of the device to determine if the person should access the resources.
And also, we all live in an interconnected digital world. What is the biggest threat to us all in there? So is it like phishing attacks? What do you see is the biggest problem that we're experiencing?
Oh, well, phishing attacks. I mean, I guess this is still the top one. I might be wrong, but I think phishing is the top one kind of attack vector to gain access to a system. Definitely that. I think nowadays, also with kind of adoption of this generative AI in a number of different productivity tools, there's some, well, similar but new attack vectors to kind of get data out of a company by prompt injection, for example.
True, and the level of that kind of like deepfakes and
of course,
it's so high level. So how to prepare people for such kinds of like emails, calls, voice notes? Like, how do you train your people, your team? Like, what to look out for? Like, because the quality is so good.
Yeah. So one easy thing is to kind of use some other channel to check, right? It's not foolproof, but like if you get a phone call from somebody and you have your doubts, reach out to them using some other channel, which can, it can fail as well. If this user has already been breached and the attacker has access to their Slack, for example, then they can just write back to you in Slack, hey, yeah, that was definitely me. But it's a complex thing. I think one of the suggestions has been to kind of agree on some safe words or kind of some something that only you and the person would know. Especially when we talk about family or friends, close friends, then this is something that is feasible to have in place. If you have a company of 5,000 employees, I don't think that's going to work. But yeah, in small communities, families, friends, this is definitely something that can help. If you get a call, which is maybe a deep fake, then ask for the code word, safe word.
Absolutely. And like a practical example, we all travel in the world, and for example, like I call you as my friend and say like I'm stuck in this country. Can you please transfer me my money so I can buy the ticket back? Basically, very common, and I will never guess like over something wrong. It's like 800 euros. It's not that much even. Like okay, like sounds like Krete's voice. It's like. You should ask like, oh, what's the safe word, basically, what we agreed. So
yeah,
totally.
There is one other thing which I should mention as well is spoofing somebody's phone number, incoming call number is relatively easy. So one of the things you can always do as well is drop the call and call the person back, because then your call will be routed most likely to the right person unless they have swapped SIM cards. But yeah, this is also something that can help. You call them back, and if the person is still talking about that they are stuck in a foreign country, then maybe it is the real deal.
Yeah, true. And we talked about like tactical, like quick wins. We talked about like strategy, but if you could only make one long-term investment or start one critical conversation this year, which would build the greatest resilience for tomorrow's world?
Yeah, great one.
That's the biggest
thing. Yeah. So I think it boils down to kind of building a culture of resilience in the company. You have to get your leadership and board on board. And you really need to kind of show that security and privacy are not just kind of cost centers that should be minimized. You should kind of be able to show that you provide some sort of value. And one of these values can be, maintaining customer trust. It's maybe hard to measure, although you still can, I think, measure it. But yeah, I think this is something that should be worked on to make it clear to management that security and privacy and legal are not just cost centers, but they are creating value.
Absolutely. And in today's world where trust is everything. So if you have any questions, dear audience, feel free to put them in the chat. zero trust architecture and culture. Absolutely, what you said. Put them in the chat. I know Margot has already asked about the trainings. Keep the conversation going. Ask more questions, please. You mentioned that employee knowledge and training is an important part of security management. Nowadays, with short attention span of people, how have you managed creating engaging training sessions?
Great question. You should ask this from the employees of my company. Maybe I haven't done it well enough. Making engaging trainings it's hard. I think we haven't yet implemented it, but we are looking into some tooling or vendors that would assist us a little bit more with this by sending like monthly, like shorter training materials, tests. But right now we are still on this annual cycle, and we notify people if there's anything noteworthy. So yeah, maybe we haven't done a great job yet, but yeah.
Do you also notify people in, I don't know, meetings or in writing in different channels that you use in your company communication? That if there is like a huge security vulnerability that's discovered in the world, or like a data breach related to lack of security measures, do you also like put that like in their daily as well?
Yeah, so we have, I would say, like multiple layers of it. We have this more specialist. We have a specific Slack channel called Hacking, where we post just big kind of incidents or anything that is like noteworthy. But for I would say the general public or all employees, we mainly try to kind of bombard them with messages that are important to them or somehow related to us. So just sending random recent breaches to a public channel doesn't, like, they won't be able to connect to it. So we always, if we post something, we want to make sure that this is somehow connected to us or the employees, so they would it would have more value for them. Yeah.
Absolutely. My personal question would be like, what are the characteristics of like a really awesome security person? But like this ideal person, what qualities should they have or train?
It's a great question. I'm actually prepared for that because this morning I went to a talk during a career day in my son's school. And that's actually literally one of the slides I had. So what are the skills?
Children, keep it real.
Yeah. So I guess the traits or this kind of attributes this person should have to be great at information security. Doesn't really matter which role in information security. It can be, the lead or like log or like somebody who analyzes logs or even a pen tester. So logical thinking and analytical thinking are, I would say, the main things, because you usually in InfoSec or CyberSec, you have an issue, you have an incident, and you need to figure out how to manage this, how to handle this incident. You might see that an attacker took some data away. Now you just have to put the kind of breadcrumbs together to understand how it was done to protect the company from this happening again. Also, I would say detail-oriented kind of mindset and punctuality. You have to be able to understand technical jargon, and I also would mention that you also have to kind of understand a little bit of kind of this legalese, right? Not to the full extent, but at least to the extent that if you go to your legal team, that you would understand what they're talking to you. And of course, this kind of collaboration. Okay, maybe this is more for the leadership of security teams, but yeah, you have to be collaborative. You have to know how to speak to people, how to communicate. I know in kind of IT sector, people are usually, they have black hoodies on and they sit in the corner, in a dark corner and type away. But if you're a leader, then you really need to make yourself visible and also make sure that kind of you are able to communicate the issues and the risks to get the solutions and help from the leadership and the rest of the company. And also, lastly, I would say that you have to be willing and able to learn, because it's an ongoing thing. As I said multiple times already today, the landscape is evolving, it's changing always. So whatever you learned in university maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, some of it might not be applicable anymore. So you really need to be kind of one step ahead and always kind of learn about new technology and just keep yourself or your knowledge relevant.
Absolutely, and I think these like qualities also can describe like an awesome privacy professional DPO.
Of course.
As well. Regarding your morning activity, what was the most popular question that the children asked?
Oh, unfortunately, they didn't ask too many questions. So yeah, I don't think I know some other parents who did some other topics. They got questions like, how much do you make a month? Which I think for a 7-year-old, maybe it's the most important question when choosing their profession. But yeah, I think maybe not question from the kids, but what I saw that got across to them was when I mentioned that they should be careful of what they post online, because whatever you post there, it's going to be there forever. It's going to be there longer than you live. And yeah, I saw some scared faces.
Okay. That's the reality. So yeah. But thank you, Margus, for sharing your perspective. What would be the most important thing that you would like the listeners of this webinar to take with them from this conversation?
Collaboration.
Yeah.
Collaborate with your counterparties in legal and privacy, and also don't be siloed. Talk with legal, privacy, with other departments to understand how they understand you or what their kind of concerns might be. So communication and collaboration.
Simple,
you have to make an effort. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Margus. So if there are no other questions, so I will wrap it up as well. So in the end of the month, on the 22nd of October, we will have our next webinar regarding cross-border compliance. You can also sign up for that. We have Krete Tivari, head of compliance from WeOne. It's like a Swedish company, talking about her road to Sweden. She has previously done compliance in India, in Arabia, so very different countries, and now she's living in Sweden. So she will show her journey and perspective how to manage the global compliance topics, how to build workflows, processes, and also the communication side from the legal perspective. So thank you all for listening. This webinar is also recorded. People can watch it again in the coming forever. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Margus, again. Happy and safe cybersecurity month and years to come for all listeners. Thank you all.